We are so excited because today our Sheepwool insulation has arrived.
So, as you can see, we've got the frame in place, 5mm. Is that a tractor? Wow! Yeah. Tractor and trailer. Nice. As you can see, the frame's in place. Ready for the insulation to go in here before putting the plyboard on. We've gone for a little bit more strength in the main walkway area. So, because I was a bit worried about the plyboard sort of bowing in or just wobbling and just making a bit of noise. That'll rectify that. And yeah, it's just a question of screwing these in. Screw those together so they're a solid frame. I'm going to put some extra bits across the centre of these as well. And then it's all getting Sikaflex to the floor, ready for the plyboard to go on top and then get screwed. Go there. Straight line. Yeah, come on. Straight.
No.
Straight line.
No. No. No.
Okay. Thank you. The plywood is cut, it's gone in so well. I'm really happy with it. Got the structures underneath. For the joins between the two sections of the plywood, as you can see, I've gone for a join along the width as opposed to down the centre, the length. There was a lot of umming and ahhing as to whether or not that would be the better option, and yeah, I've gone for this, and it has worked out a hell of a lot simpler. Just with cutting, measuring, getting these wheel arches in. For the joins, however, I did go for a thicker bit of timber. So this is 3x2. Now I've done this purely to increase the strength of the joins of the plywood, so that there's plenty of timber there for it to secure onto, and it means I can offset the screw holes in the plywood as well further back so that they're not going to pull out or anything like that. Just a bit overkill, but I'll be happy knowing that they'll stay flush. The only downside, of course, is that there is a bit of a thermal bridge. It is a big chunk of wood, especially compared to the 2.5. It just means that there's that sort of space not insulated. But weighing it up, I'd much rather have a secure floor.
I'm just going to cut it open because we're just starting to put some of it in. So we ordered it from blackmountaininsulation.com. They're based in the UK, just in the south of England. We're starting with the channels just at the ceiling, and we went for 50mm thickness, so 5 centimeters. I think that's about 2 inches thick. And this is really cool actually. They're using all the wool that other companies don't want because it's not white. So you're getting this like melange kind of grey, brown, pretty much like all colours that sheep could be in, I guess. And they are using it instead of it going into landfill. And Black Mountain Insulation actually have 95% of sheep wool, rather than I looked into other companies that do sheep wool insulation, but actually their sheep wool amount is only about 60 or 65% from what I could tell, at least in the UK. And Black Mountain Insulation do 95%. They're not paying us to say this. We actually did a lot of research, and these guys seem to be the best in the UK, so we went for those guys. And so far I'm really, really excited about the whole process. So I'll cut a few bits into strips for the channels and then I'll show you what we do. Because we're in such a tiny space with a tiny human being with us, we wanted it to be as natural as possible throughout the whole van build. And obviously that kind of starts with the insulation. The two options for us have really always been either sheep wool or hemp insulation. Hemp is a bit heavier. If you go with hemp, it would be even more sustainable than sheep wool. It's natural, it's healthy, at least for us. Of course, if you suffer from wool allergies, then that's really not an option for you and you might want to look into hemp insulation. So what I'm doing right now is preparing these channels for our insulation. So I'm using masking tape to basically just close all of the holes in the channels. You also want to make sure that you're going right along these edges here at the top, closing all of these bits and the holes, the extra holes. And I'll show you what I'm doing with that in a second. What we're doing is we've cut these strips of insulation to the length and width, and the thickness is 5 centimeters anyway in the Merc Sprinters. So what we've done is we've got this string off. It's just like a cotton wool string, very light string. At the end we've got like a little bit of a cotton tissue. So it's fabric, but light fabric, attached to the light string. And the reason is because, yeah, it has to be quite light to be pulled through with a hoover. So I'll put the tissue bit in one of the holes. From the other side, I just pull that through. You have to kind of feed it through a little bit probably, but I'll show you how it works. Right, so we pulled this bit of cotton fabric through to the other side. We're now attaching our strip of wool. So what we figured out is that you want to put it as close to the end as possible. Otherwise it kind of curls over on itself and just creates like a, yeah, it just gets stuck in the channel. And because it's wool, and not some kind of fabric, it seems to tear quite easily. And then you just pull it through. Now this needs a bit of patience, because as I say, it does tear quite easily, and you want to make sure that it doesn't really twist. So the first few we didn't really pay a lot of attention to this, but with the last couple we just tried to make sure that it doesn't twist too much. And then you just kind of push it through a little bit. And then I'll pull in a second. We've done these together the last few, so it probably works best, the first two of you. Now the preparation, putting all the masking tape on, it did take quite a bit of time, but it's absolutely worth it. I would not want to leave these empty. And even this is quite a bit of work, you know, especially for those of you on your own. I mean, Benn's right now, he's not here, but he was here the whole time. Whilst you don't really need any protective clothing, the wool obviously still comes loose in places. So right now I've got something in my eye, a bit of wool, I believe. So you might want to put some goggles on or even a mask. It did smell a little bit of sheep, but that's all gone now. It's all washed, cleaned, treated with anti-rodent treatment, so you shouldn't get any rats or insects.
So we're just cracking on with the floor. It's so easy to use, it's brilliant. you can literally just tear into it.
One of the big issues living in vans is condensation, and the Sheepwool does actually take care of that really well. We've been living in the van for a couple months now, and with the insulation, most of it installed. The ceiling we've only just done not so long ago, but the walls have been done ever since we actually slept in it. And when we still lived in the flat, we always woke up with condensation on the windows. In this van, we haven't woken up with condensation on the windows once. Sheepwool can take up to 35% of its own weight in water and release it when the humidity is low again. So this summer has been amazing, so that there was enough time every single day for the wool to kind of dry out again. I know a lot of people don't really believe that that can happen. We chose not to use a moisture barrier for that reason. I spoke to a company in Wales. They have been using Sheepwool. They have been converting vans for over a decade now. They've always been using wool, and they have taken panels out of vans from 10 years ago, and they said the wool was still intact. It was always warm, there was no dampness, there was just no water anywhere, so they really trust it, and they haven't ever used a moisture barrier. Another company in the USA, I contacted them to ask, do you recommend a moisture barrier using Sheepwool insulation in a van? They said absolutely not. I've done months of research on that, just that subject alone, and I've changed my mind a million times, but we're really happy with the way we did it now.
I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll put the cab in and then fill this after it's in, maybe. But at the moment, yeah, the netting's sort of doing its job, it's just keeping it in place. I think I'll pack out these side bits first. With this on as is, you can access the insulation that's been put on. It stops about there. You can access from here as well, probably better with a skinnier arm.
And we'll put some more insulation here where there isn't any, I think.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're gonna tuck down. So yeah, just when I said that we could access it, it means that you can find where the other end is, so you're not doubling it up and it's not going to bulge over or anything like that.
We used 10 centimeters in the walls, so that's 2 layers of 50 mil, and in the ceiling and the floor we used 50 mil, so 5 centimeters each. I don't think you can have enough insulation in the van. Ben was a bit concerned at first that we're having too much, but then other people said as well, you can never have enough insulation in the van, and so far I think it's true. Once we have the doors insulated as well, the windows kind of covered a little bit, we'll have like some kind of insulated covers for the windows. I think it'll be a lot better. We'll also have a heater for winter.
As for the insulation, we've already got 5 mil crammed into the hollows of the van structure. We've also done our best to stuff as much of these sort of tunnels. We're going to put in a second layer, which will run flush with this, giving us 100 mil of insulation altogether. There is insulation within the wheel arches as well. They're only rough, it's literally just to house the insulation, and then the cupboards are going to be hiding all of that anyway. Although it's fairly stiff and holds its body quite well, I'm a bit nervous that over time it might sort of sag and sort of start to gather at the bottom and leave big holes at the top. To prevent that, I'm trying an idea to skewer the insulation with just your, fairly basic sort of bamboo sticks. Now the idea being to attach these sticking outward from the walls in order to bite and hold the insulation like so. Just to keep it in place, stop it bowing down.
It is biodegradable, so it'll stay part of the natural cycle. Their manufacturing process is using minimal energy, so to produce chemical-based insulation, the process of making that insulation in itself needs a lot of energy, It was really easy to handle, really easy to put in. We didn't have any struggle. Quite the opposite. Ben was just amazed at how simple it was to use, and you can see that in the video. We did, of course, have to get a bit creative with how to attach it to the walls, because we didn't use any spray glue. We just didn't want to use any spray glue because that would kind of defeat the object of keeping it natural.
It's holding it on, and when we get the second layer on, it should sort of sandwich them together enough that it's not going to collapse on itself. I mean, as you can see, it's pretty stiff, it's pretty rigid in the structure of the material itself. I had to use the sharpened surplus just to sort of skewer between the two layers, just to keep them together really, stop them sort of separating and keeping that sort of zero gap in between the sections. But so far it's working. I'm kind of happy with it.
Another really cool thing about sheepwool insulation, or sheepwool in general, is that it can actually absorb toxic chemicals from the air, including mold, and just enclose it. So it absorbs it, but it doesn't give it off again. It absorbs it and kind of encloses it in its fiber, which is amazing, because anything we kind of cause just by being, if you use normal paint, which we won't, we will use pretty much rock-free paint, just again as natural as possible, as non-toxic as possible. So anything that is or could be in there still, the wool will help absorb it. On top of our sound deadening that we used, the wool itself acts as a sound deadener. Black Mountain Insulation, like any other insulation company that uses sheep wool, they have to use some kind of fire retardant, at least in the UK. But wool in itself is actually kind of fire resistant. And of course, wool is designed by nature in the first place to act as insulation for the sheep, for the animal, and to save energy, right? Be it winter or summer. I used to wonder, how do sheep survive summer when it's so hot? But the wool also helps keep them cool, or keep their temperature stable in summer just as much as it does in winter. So I'm not worried about summer, I'm not worried about winter. Again, we're going to use heating in winter. It can absorb moisture from the air. At the same time, it can release heat. And in summer, when it's warm again, when it releases the moisture, it therefore has a cooling effect on the surrounding air. So it is just perfect, really. Perfect in itself. Not perfect for everyone. Certainly not saying that everyone has to use it, but it's definitely something to think about, especially for us van people. You feel more connected to it as well because it's a natural, and I know that sounds like a really hippie thing to say, but if you're at all interested in natural products, you probably know what I mean. I think it's really important for people to know what their options are, and most of you won't have as much time or patience to do the research, so I'm really hoping that this video helped for you to make a decision. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up below. Subscribe to our channel if you want more videos in the future, and click the little bell to be notified of any new videos coming out. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Leave us any comments, let us know what you think about using sheep wool. What are your plans for your own conversion? What have you done in your conversion? Are you happy or not with your decision? And yeah, we will see you in the next video. Mwah.